Whether you're creating flyers for your school's student council or trying to build a presence on social media for your business, we can end up spending a ton of time editing and creating in Canva. But if you're spending hours in Canva and not actually making any progress, you probably just need to work smarter, not harder. Regardless of your experience level in Canva, there's loads of small tips and tricks to help you speed up your designs and get back to what's important. In today's episode, I'm going to give you some time-saving tips to help you work smarter, not harder, in Canva. Let's do it. Tip number 1 is to filter your searches. Now, if you guys are like me, you spend a ton of time looking for graphics, elements, and photos to make your design as perfect as it can be. But the difficulty is that sometimes we can have an ideal photo in our mind and not actually find it. But one of the tools in Canva that can help is the filter tool. Anytime you're searching for graphics or photos or even videos, you can use the filter tool in the search bar to give you a more narrow search window to pinpoint the exact photo that you want to use. Let's say I'm looking for a photo of a forest. In the top bar, I'm going to type in forest. And then in that same search bar where you just typed in forest, there's actually going to be a little filter icon on the right-hand side. If you click on that, you're going to be able to filter by color, orientation, whether or not the element or photo is animated, what kind of cutout version it has, and what kind of price it has. So if you're only on the free account, this is a great way to filter out some of the pro options so you don't accidentally pay for something or upgrade without wanting to. So let's say I want to filter based on a certain color. Now this is a great way to actually match with your brand colors. So let's say I wanted to use a photo that is going to match very closely to one of the brand colors that I have. I'm going to go through the normal process of trying to search for a photo, and then I'm going to hit the filter button. And then here you can actually add a custom color, so I'm just going to copy and paste this color into that search bar. Click apply. And then that's going to cut down your search window to show you a bunch of options that'll have a color that's similar or that is present in one of those photos. So this one is awesome, and then I can add that to my background, and there we go. Now it's not an exact match, although that blue does really blend in with a lot of the blue of the background here if you're watching the video version of this. And then from there, I can just start to create my design around it. Another great way to do it is if you're searching for graphics. Let's say I'm looking for something along the lines of a car, and I wanted to try and find a very specific color, or if I'm just looking for maybe a white one that can stand out. I'll go in and I'll select that particular color code. I'll change the orientation of the animation style. Maybe I just want a static. And then I can go back in and I can search through some of the elements that pop up from that point and see if there's anything that matches what I'm looking for. So that's an easier way rather than just typing in car and then hopefully finding something that works. When you type in car, you're going to get a couple million options to choose from, but filtering it will help cut out some of the ones that you know you're not going to use. Tip number 2 is using the color eyedropper tool. Now, if I have a specific photo or even my brand colors in a brand guide, I can use the color eyedropper tool to pinpoint that specific color for something else in my design. So let's take the photo that I found in the last tip, and if I wanted to make a box here that I'm going to use as part of my design, but I want it to match the nice sunset hue in the clouds here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the color editor button up here. I'm going to go to add a color, and then this little eyedropper icon right here when you're trying to choose a color will pop up. And from there, you can drag your mouse into the design and find a specific color from one of the pixels that you want to use. Once you've chosen that color, it's going to show up in your document colors on the left-hand menu side when you're trying to change a color. And then from there, you can edit as you see fit to the design itself. Tip number 3 is great for both social media content, any graphics that you're using, but also for docs. Tip number 3 is to use the find and replace text option. Now there's 2 ways that you can access this tool. The first is within your design or your doc, you're going to go up to File, And in that little drop-down menu, toward the very bottom, there's going to be a find and replace text option. And when you're looking at it, you can see the little keyboard shortcut. That's the other way that you can find it. If you're within your design, just hit either the Command or the Control F function on your keyboard, and that's going to pop it up for you. So once you select that tool, what's going to happen is a little window is going to pop up in the top right-hand corner of your editor. And here you can type in the word that you want to find and then replace it. So let's say I'm looking for the word background. It's going to highlight however many instances are available in your design or your doc. It's going to show you where each one is. You're going to be able to toggle through the arrows there. And then you can actually replace it. So if I wanted to just replace it with Canva, and then I could choose to replace all. I could choose to replace just that one specific one. I could match case it. And then once I've selected the word that I want to replace it with and the settings that I want to use, I can then click replace. And then it's going to go through and replace every single one for me. Another great use for this tool is if you're trying to abbreviate something and you don't want to go through the entire doc and have Canva actually do it for you, the find and replace text tool is a nice one to use for that. Tip number 4 is the Magic Switch tool. Now, the Magic Switch tool is part of Canva Pro, so if you're not a pro user, unfortunately, you won't be able to use this time-saving tip. This is a great tool for switching up your content in terms of the layout or the format. You can also change your designs into things like docs. So if you've got a carousel post that you would like to change into a blog, then you can also do that by changing it into a doc and then copying and pasting it into your blog setup. The Magic Switch tool is also really awesome because it allows you to translate your content. So if I wanted to take this particular social media post that I posted a few months ago and translate it to a new language, I could do that. All I would do is click the Magic Switch button in the top left-hand corner, select Translate, and then I could just choose a language, and then I can select which pages I want to alter. Now, if I wanted a copy of this, both one in English, one in Spanish, then I could make a copy of this, or there is an option here where you can translate it without creating a copy, so it'll actually create the copy on its own. I personally use the Magic Switch tool to reformat things for ads on social media. So instead of just copying and pasting that entire design into a new design, I actually use the Magic Switch tool. So if I have this portrait photo and I want to switch this into a story, what I would do is I would go up to the Magic Switch tool. I would find Instagram story. Now I use that tool quite a bit, so it's going to show up in my resize quick menu here. But you can always browse by category, so you can change it to a print product, a video, a website style, presentation, and there's loads more options here. But for now, I'm going to show you the social media option. From there, you can pick and choose the options that you want to change it to, and you can do multiple. Once I've chosen the options that I want to use, I can click continue, and then it'll actually give me a preview of each of the options from the whole design. You can, down here at the very bottom, you can switch which pages you would like to copy. So now that I've got a preview of the singular page and the two different sizing options that I want to look at, obviously there are some edits that need to be made. What I can do now is either resize this into two different designs, and what that's going to do is create copies of this particular page in my current design into two new sizes that you're seeing previews for here. From there, you can go in and you can edit how you see fit. You can resize any background images or any text that is prevalent to the page itself and make the edits how you see fit. The next tip is one that I use almost every day when designing for clients, and that is the position or tidy up tool. If you're watching the video version of this, I've got a template in front of me that has a series of folders on it. Now, each of these folders are options for folders that you can use to organize your Canva. If you're looking at it, you can see that none of the folders are quite lined up, and I like a nice tidy image. It's very easy to look at, it's clean and orderly. Instead of trying to drag and see if I can line all these up perfectly, it's only going to take me about 30 seconds, but I can do it in less time. Now, if I wanted to just tidy all of these up, what I would do is I would start with maybe these 6 items here. Once you've selected all the elements that you want to clean up, in the very top bar, you'll find a position button. Go ahead and click on that, and then there's a couple different options here. First of all, you'll be able to see the arrange portion, where you can either bring them forward or backward if they're in layers. You can align their elements. And that's partially what we're going to use here. Now, if I've got 2 rows of folders or elements, using one of these align elements tools is going to push them all together, which is not something that I want. One of the tools within the position tool is the tidy up function. Now, with these 6 elements grouped together like this, I want them all to be nice and tidy in terms of their vertical and horizontal orientation. I could click the vertical and horizontal orientation spacing, or I could just click tidy up. All 6 of these elements are going to take the top and leftmost and right and outermost outlines here to clean up that spacing. Now, obviously, if I wanted the top row here to be a little more close in terms of orientation to the second row, then I could do that. And then I can do the same thing to the bottom. Now, when you've only got 2 items, it's not going to give you a tidy up option or a vertical or horizontal, but it will give you the align elements function where you can space it out in terms of either the top, middle, or bottom, or the left, center, or right. Now, I wanted those to be middle oriented, and then I want them to be a little bit closer to match closer to what we've got. If you're somebody who's very nitpicky on how your design looks, or if you just like a nice clean design, the position tool can be a game changer for you and a real time saver, especially if you're used to using guides or the automatic middle or center guides that show up on your screen when you hit that point. Now, obviously, there are other tools that you can use within the design itself just by dragging and lining everything up, but the position tool is going to give you the option to do that much, much faster, saving you time and getting you back, again, to what's important. Tip number 6 is the layers tool. Now, this is a tool that was added in 2023 and one that I personally love more than anything. If you used Canva before the layers tool, you'll understand why I love this so much. The layers tool is found within the position button. So when you click on position, even if you don't have anything selected, you'll be able to view the layers of your content, which is incredibly helpful if you're trying to edit one specific item. So if you've got multiple layers like this image that I have here, if you're watching the visual version, I have some text and then a gradient and then a gradient box underneath the text. And then behind that, I've got the photo background. If I wanted to edit the gradient background but was having trouble selecting it, I could hit position in the top toolbar and then toggle over to layers and select that individual element right there without having to fool around with anything else in the design. This is incredibly helpful if you've got multiple items that are grouped together or if you have anything that are actually overlapping with one another. Funny enough, the graphic that I used in the last tip actually leads us into the next one, and that is folders. Folders can help keep you organized both on your desktop, in your camera roll, and especially in your Canva account. Whether you're utilizing Canva Free or Canva Pro, folders can help keep you organized and keep all your assets in a row. There are 8 main folders that I usually recommend if you're just getting started in Canva that can help keep you organized. Number 1 is brand assets. Obviously, if you're a Canva Pro member, the Canva brand kit is going to be your brand asset folder where you can keep all your logos, colors, photos, icons, and any other asset that's associated with your brand. But if you don't, having a folder will be a great place to keep all of those items. Number 2 is social graphics. So if you have stock photography or any specific graphic that you want to use on your social media, or even designs that you're using for social media, a social graphics folder is a great place to keep all of those. Number 3 is marketing materials. If you're working on designs that include flyers, business cards, rack cards, or even brochures, that can be a great place to keep all of these designs and anything that's going to go on them, including photos, logos, or any other type of graphic. Folder 4 is a client project. So any design that you're working on specifically for clients, any assets that you pull in from your clients, like photos or their logos, that can be a great place to store all of those things to keep them very organized without having to rummage through your uploads folder. Number 5 is stock images. Now, obviously, Canva's got a load of stock images in their element library, but if you have stock photography for your own business that you'd like to use, a stock images folder is another great place to keep those. Or if you've already got access to a library that you're pulling into Canva, again, another great place to keep those type of assets. Templates are another great place. Now, Again, if you have the Canva brand kit and Canva Pro, there's going to be a brand template folder that you can keep all of your templates in for use across your team or even just use for yourself. But if you're using Canva free, a templates folder can really, really help. I also like to keep an inspiration folder. So if I find photos or specific templates or designs that really inspired me to do something or create a specific design, I'll throw them in the inspiration folder so that I can refer to those later. And then the final one is an archive folder. Any projects that you're working on that can be archived or maybe they're done with completely, I like to throw them in here so that I've got them, but they're out of the way and I can clean up my homepage a little bit. If you've listened or watched my show at all, you know that I'm kind of a freak about the folder side of things, and my content and assets are extremely organized, but these folders will help you get started even if you're the most unorganized person on the planet. Number 8 is the Shape Assist tool. Now, this is a fairly new tool as well, one that I don't use too much because most of my design is on a computer, but if you're using something like an iPad or another tablet and you need specific shapes that aren't maybe offered in the Elements tab, you can use the Shape Assist tool to help you out. Now, if you're watching on the video version of this, I can go to a blank screen here and draw a very poor excuse for a circle on my keypad here. If you're using a mouse, what you're going to do is you're going to left click how you normally would draw a circle, and you're actually going to hold it at the very end of drawing that circle. What will happen is Canva will snap that shape to an exact shape rather than the mostly squiggly line that you get with your mouse. This can be really helpful with both your mouse and also using an Apple Pencil or something along those lines with your tablet. The Shape Assist will work with any prominent shapes like squares, circles, triangles, and even stars will work great as well. Now, obviously, trying to draw with a touchpad or a mouse is nearly impossible, especially if you're trying to get anything that's remotely coherent. But with the help of Shape Assist, I can actually make fairly legible shapes that will stand out on my design. For example, here's a post that I did on my LinkedIn a couple weeks ago, and let's say I wanted to highlight the items that are missing. As you can see, this was the demo for the Magic Eraser tool, and I cut out both this coffee cup and this little paper clip here. So if I wanted to really highlight what was missing here, but I wanted it to be a perfect circle, I could go in and draw the circle, hold the mouse button down, and it would create a nice little circle in that blank space. I personally use it when I'm designing on my iPad. It tends to be a little bit easier, and the shapes come out super, super clean. And my last set of tips is actually a series of tools called the Magic Studio. Now, the Magic Studio is something that I've already covered both on my YouTube channel and in my podcast. So if you want a little bit more info, you can find it there. You can design photos and videos, you can make animations, you can change wordings to morph them. I did cover the Magic Switch earlier in this video. You can edit, grab, or expand different photos and objects within your photos. And then obviously there's a ton of other AI tools that are included with Canva in the app library that can just expand what you're doing. Now, there are loads of tips and tricks that you can use to speed up your designs, but finding the 3 or 4 that are really going to help you specifically for what kind of content you're building, what kind of materials you're working on, and the designs that you're making to portray your own style. That is what's really going to unlock some additional time for you throughout the day. Now, if you're looking for more of these, check out my YouTube channel or visit my podcast, where I've actually done a couple episodes now of time-saving tips or just tips and tricks in Canva to help you get back to life. Thank you for joining me today on the Canva Code. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button on YouTube, follow me on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, and stay tuned for more insights on how to use design and Canva to thrive. Thank you for listening, and remember, you Canva do it.